Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings and even the worst of films. I want to do a little two-parter here, overall talking about Paramount and a couple of the things that they're doing. Recently, they had an Investors Day call where they were talking about the future of Paramount. Skydance actually just bought Paramount, and they're looking to get Paramount back on the right track. They're kind of focusing on their biggest franchises, but one of the things that stand out here is one of the franchises that they mentioned in this Investors Day call. Yes, they want to focus on the next Top Gun because it was a $1 billion grossing movie. Yes, they want to focus on Star Trek because it's one of the only successful franchises that they still currently have that's doing well. The third thing that they said actually kind of blew my mind. It makes sense, but it's also one of those, like, is it too little too late? They talked about World War Z, the zombie film that came out like 15 years ago with Brad Pitt, where the zombies were able to like mass climb on top of each other and create these giant beanstalk structures of zombies. It was a really fun movie and I really enjoyed it. That movie actually notoriously went through a boatload of rewrites and it was an absolute disaster on set. They thought that this movie was going to be an epic failure because it was a Frankenstein of a project and nothing like the book, but it wound up being a really successful, popular movie. A lot of people liked it, me being one of them. I thought it was a really fun, refreshing take on the zombie genre, but also it made like $500 million. So where the hell has the sequel been? There's like 10 books, and although this is very loosely based off of them, there's still a roadmap of where they want to go. There's still a cliffhanger at the end of this film, and it's kind of bizarre that they never tried to go ahead and keep making more. It's probably because of how difficult it was to get the first one off the ground, and it was probably just such a headache that no one wanted to touch it, but it makes sense why the new leaders of Paramount are like, we're sitting on a $500 million movie here that sets up a sequel. Where the hell is the sequel? And I think that's really fascinating because I would absolutely love to revisit that world. Brad Pitt is riding on a high right now because of his successful $600 million grossing Apple Plus / Warner Brothers produced F1 Formula One movie. He was also wildly awesome to watch in Bullet Train and Wolves, and he's at the top of his game right now. He's hotter than he's been in a long time. It has been a very long time. So I completely understand why they're doing that. But the other thing I want to talk about really quick with Paramount is apparently they're looking to buy Warner Brothers. Now, I saw a lot of people that were Superman haters talking about how it doesn't even matter if this movie does well or not. They're just going to sell Warner Brothers soon and it's all going to get scrapped anyway. That's not how this works. And tell me you're an uneducated idiot when it comes to the movie industry without telling me you're an uneducated idiot. They're going to sell this to people that want this stuff within DC and Warner Brothers to work. If Paramount buys Warner Brothers, it's because they want their catalog of HBO. It's because they want the DC Studios brand under their banner. They want to add those to their list. If Paramount bought them, they would just continue to let James Gunn do what he's doing. It would just no longer be owned by David Zaslav. And on one hand, I think that that's cool. I mean, you're going to have one studio that owns Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Trek, now World War Z, that's going to become a franchise. Then on top of that, you have HBO, you have DC Comics, and let's not forget Transformers, which is unfortunately coming back with Michael Bay, who's going to continue to pile drive this franchise into the dirt, but that's besides the point. It's really cool for Paramount to have all this under their belt, but the thing that kind of scares me about this is the monopolization of it. We all knew that when the streaming wars began, when it was Disney Plus making a streaming channel, when it was Paramount, when it was Warner Brothers with HBO, when it was Peacock, when it was Hulu, and on and on and on, and all the different streaming services, they couldn't all get the success that something like Netflix has with 300 million viewers because there's only so many people with so much money to go around. And everyone predicted that over the course of time, they would start to bundle, where now you're getting a bundle where you can get HBO, Disney, and Amazon, or whatever it was, all under one package. And the fear was that that was also going to happen to movie studios because we live in a time now where 50, 60, 70 years ago, or when my grandma was young, and my grandma's kids, my mother, my uncles, my aunts, when they were little growing up, they had one TV that had like 8 channels on it. So if you wanted to see all these movies, you had to go to the theater. There were movies back then that were in theaters for 6 months before they came home to watch on TV. Some movies like Casablanca were in theaters for a year before you could watch it on TV. So back in the day, people used to rush out to see movies in the theater. Then came on the home video market where you could get VHS tapes, and everyone thought that that was going to destroy the movie theater industry because people could just watch these things at home now. But that wasn't the case because of the long period of time that it took to get the VHS tapes. You'd see a movie in the movie theater and you wouldn't have a VHS tape come out until like a year after the movie came out. So if you really wanted to see that Christopher Reeves Superman film, you needed to see it in theaters. Otherwise, you were going to wait a year after everybody else saw it. So there was still that drive to go to the theaters, and it was still the optimal way to watch movies. As awesome as it was to get a TV back in the day, they didn't have the greatest surround sound. So that was just the way to see the movie in the best way possible, is the movie theater. Then DVDs came out and Blu-rays. People started getting home entertainment systems, and I hear people online all the time talk about, oh, I don't like to go to the movies. My entertainment center at home is better. It's not. It's not. There might be aspects of it that are better. Like you don't have to deal with kids screaming their heads off and people talking on their phone and being being obnoxious and loud, sure, I give you that. It's definitely a better experience than dealing with obnoxious people in the theater. But in terms of image quality and surround sound, each theater is a couple $1 million project. So unless you're dumping $5, $6, $7 million into your entertainment center at your home, and you have ceilings that are 100 feet high that could fit these massive screens, it's not better. And it's never going to be better unless you're, again, a multi-billionaire and can afford something like that. But there's been the constant discussion of when is the movie theater experience going to go away due to the advancements of things that we have at home. And I've been saying this for a while. People like John Campea have been saying this for a while. The movie theater experience is going to die because the movie theater experience is going to shoot themselves in the head. They are going to commit suicide, and they've already started that with lowering the theatrical window. It used to be months and months long, 6 months, 5 months. Then it would go to TV. Then they shortened it to 90 days, which was 3 months. Then the pandemic happened, and I get it. During the pandemic, they wanted to get things to streaming as fast as possible so that people would do VOD and rent it from home, because not a lot of people were going to the theater to see movies because of the pandemic. So they lowered the window to 45 days. So a month and a half, movies would be in theaters. Then they would come to streaming. It made sense then for studios to stay afloat. But then that came and went, the pandemic. It is gone now. And studios realized we don't have to split with the theaters the commission that we make of people sitting at home and renting a movie. We'll put the movie out for a month. It'll get all the buzz that it gets in theater. And then all the people that would have went to the movies would instead stay home and rent it. And we would make just as much money from people doing that. The problem with that is a lot of people bootleg. A lot of people still pirate stuff when they don't want to wait the 45 days. And I can invite over 10 of my friends. They'll bring their kids and their wives, and they'll all sit here in my apartment and watch this movie. And instead of that movie making $500 now at the box office, it has only made like $20 now at the box office. I'm sorry, not the best at math without having a calculator in front of me, but you get my point. It's going to make significantly less because everyone just mooched off of my payment of it. And instead of backtracking and going to the 90-day window where people were forced to go to the movies, they were so focused on building up their streaming service because they didn't want to share with the movie theaters that they wound up shooting themselves in the foot, because now people are just finding ways to watch these movies at home without actually paying anything. So the movie theaters have been on a decline. A lot of people don't want to go since the pandemic because they've just gotten more comfortable staying at home, and because not a lot of people are going anymore, movie theaters have jacked their prices up, and instead of being $10 now, it's now $20, and instead of popcorn being $5, it's $12, and it's a fortune now to go with a bunch of people. So I understand a lot of people's reasoning as to why they don't want to go to the movie theaters, but the movie theaters are now in a really rough spot where blockbusters are the only thing that keeps them alive, and no one goes out to see these smaller independent films anymore. Well, now you look at Paramount trying to buy Warner Brothers, and one of the big problems with that is if you don't have competition among studios and things get monopolized, soon we're going to be looking at two studios that own everything. You're going to look at like Apple that owns Disney, Fox, all these other studios, and then I wouldn't be surprised if like Amazon bought out Paramount after they bought out Warner Brothers, and now Amazon owns Warner Brothers, and they own Universal, and they own Paramount, and they have Star Trek and DC and all these other different franchises. Now we're only going to have two studios putting out content, and because of that, the lack of quality dips, because it's like, okay, you don't like our Transformers movie? Well, there's no other studios making movies of this quality, so where else are you going to go? And it becomes a problem where you don't have that healthy competition anymore, where you're trying your hardest to find the best filmmaker for the project that you're making to bring it to life in the most successful way. And it's just going to further take away from the quality of movies, which will then in turn make people less inclined to go to the movie theaters because the quality of everything is going to drop. And I can't help but sit here and feel like I'm slowly watching this industry that I've spent my entire life being obsessed with die. I have been going to the movies with my grandma since I'm a little kid. I love the movie going experience when I get the right crowd. Obviously, when I get the obnoxious crowds of people that don't want to shut up and you got kids having food fights in there, it's a bad time. It just is. I will not deny that. But there's nothing like the experience of sitting in a packed room with 200 people and you watch Captain America pick up Thor's hammer for the first time and everyone gasps and starts cheering, and the feeling you get when you see Tobey Maguire step out of the portal in Spider-Man No Way Home and the crowd just loses their mind. I don't care if you're sitting at home with three of your best friends and you're all excited when it's happening. It's not like being in a crowded room like you're at a concert and everyone is just collectively freaking out. And it's my favorite experience in the world. I go to the movies 2 times, sometimes 3 times a week. It is my favorite place to be, more so than home, and I'm just crushed that I'm watching this thing die, and in 10, 15, 20 years, we might not even have movie theaters anymore. And that for me is devastating. It's like somebody I love dying. You know, not everyone is like me, obviously. The people that are watching channels like this, like the John Campea show, like the Christian Harloff show, all of us collectively make up like 5% of the population. So most people don't really care about the movie theaters, but I do, and I can't help but look at this whole Paramount thing as just another nail in the coffin, and there's not that many nails left. But what do you guys think? Do you think the movie theaters are on the out? Do you agree with me of why they're on the out? What do you think of this Paramount merger and the potential of them buying Warner Brothers? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.